and down the boulevard, there are shadows searching in the night. Street lights, people living just to find emotion, hiding somewhere in the night.
Journey, Don't Stop Believing. Right here on Dan RadioStyle. Kind of doing something a little different on this one just because this song, one, is such an awesome song. Sorry, I'll debate it all the way to the end of my days. But not just that, but there's actually two very cool parts of the song. Well, there's a lot of good parts, but two significantly good parts. Like one, that was kind of a grab of a cool little section. And then there's the chorus. And so I will be going out this video with the chorus, the end. So the same song, but different part of it. Hopefully, we'll see if I'm allowed to pull that off. It is two separate segments of fair use aspects, but we'll see. Hopefully, they're okay with that. I'm meaning all respect to the band, of course. So yes, we have that. Manifesting what is best for me versus manifesting what I want. I have no idea what I'm going to call that. Obviously, it can't be that wordy, but that's, again, I was just writing down topics, and these turned into some really, really cool things, but it reminded me, I think one of the areas that has allowed me to be successful at this, and I think a lot of that just comes into belief. Again, a lot of people is believing that this is truly how things actually kind of work into our lives. Now, there may be some additional complexities. I've certainly gotten into those before in other shows, but the concepts of what we're thinking, saying, and doing, and how we're feeling pretty much attracts to us what we experience in life, right? So a lot of us, if we're trying to change what we've got coming towards us, we need to alter what's happening inside of us, and that change and that dynamic is what brings forth these manifestations that I like to call them anyway. Manifestations is creations, co-creating, all those things, basically same stuff. So the key has been really the flexibility in what I call success, right? Like, so some stupid examples up front, and I'll give some real ones here in a little bit, but I think that's kind of what just brought this whole concept up to me. Let's say, for example, I'm trying to manifest $100, right? And I end up manifesting $80 in the time frame or whatever, right? Or I manifest $100 and I'm like, I got 80. Oh, it's not 100. Like, some people would be like, well, it's not exactly right. It's like, wait, whoa. You just manifested $80, okay? And if you're really stuck on the number of 100, then just right off the bat, you'd be like, well, there must be another $20 somewhere coming, right? Like, okay. Or, wow, that's really good. That's $80. Who cares if it's not 100? That's right there. Now, again, if you need to manifest exactly $100, there's some ticket that you're trying to buy and you're trying to manifest the money for it, then cool. Then you're like, well, then $20 has got to be showing up in some other way. Like, it happens, and it's that flexibility of understanding that it may not all happen in one way. It may not all happen the way you expect. It may happen in some weird happenstance way, but it will happen. That's it. That's the trick. So one of the reasons I bring this up, well, three of the reasons I should say. I had an old company, right? And then I ended up at the company I'm currently working for, and then they laid us all off after I was there for a few years. They laid off our entire group and closed down our facility, and I got out kind of early. Now, when I was leaving, I ended up interviewing at an old company I'd worked at prior to going there, and they're still using some of the crazy, weird stuff that I made, and they were interested in possibly bringing me back. I was one of the only people that still had knowledge of the back end. There was a whole slew of things, but from a professional standpoint, I really wasn't going to learn anything new going there, by the way. But I would have gotten a nice raise. So I tried to go down that path, and I had this other avenue going at the same time that wasn't going to be as much money, but was a bit more stable, was a really good job, but was going to be a challenge and force me to learn stuff that I didn't currently know, which would be a good path, right? Long story short, going back to the old company, they kind of said no and whatever, and I don't know exactly why. Doesn't matter. So I ended up going down the other path. I spent a year at that location and learned some amazing stuff that, honestly, for where I'm at right now, has helped me immensely. But that being said, while I was at that location, I got invited back to go back to the company I was at prior, but doing a role that I was trying to promote myself into while I was there. So I got the career boost. I ended up hooking up pretty nice on salary. Like, a lot of really good things happened following the way things went. Just because I really wanted to go a certain way, because I had my mind focused on going back to that company and making more money, wasn't going to learn anything. It wasn't going to progress me towards where I'm trying to ultimately manifest, which big picture manifest, right? Like a lot of us, happiness and career and all these things. Like big picture, trust me, like higher self's like, trust me. No, you don't want to go back there. Let me just hang with this place that we've got. It's good. You'll like it. You'll be happy. You know people there. Like it was a lot of good things going on. Just tough through it. Learn what you're there to learn. Trust me. Watch what happens. And sure enough, the way it played out in hindsight was perfect. Perfect. And I still am going in the direction that I wanted. And I was, even when I went in a different way than I thought I was going to. So there's one example. One more example. There's certain times where we spend a lot of time maybe trying to manifest a specific person back. I'm going to try to dance on this topic carefully because there is a lot of sensitivity in this area. And you spend a lot of time kind of working on your self-love issues. You work on what it matters as far as a person, what you feel you deserve in a relationship, time spent together, just the kind of person, the quality, you spend a lot of time storyboarding. You spend a lot of time imagining. You spend a lot of time forgiving and growing. And in that process, you sometimes create what you suddenly realize is, oh my gosh, like, what I deserve and what I should have is kind of different than what I've been pursuing. I'm not saying anybody's anywhere. I'm sharing from my standpoint, right? So sometimes you realize, oh my gosh, what I'm pursuing, what I'm asking of the universe, what I'm asking of these two people that I'm chasing after. You're like, well, okay, I've grown past that. I've grown to a place where I realize that's not what I want. I altered. And through all the work, I actually created something in my life that I didn't notice until I finally said, all right, okay, universe, you're right. I can see why, right? I get it. It makes sense. And immediately I fall into something that is just amazing and never imagined all of these things together in one individual. Just never imagined it. Didn't know it was even possible. But I've been spending all this time doing this imaginal work, trying to create a scenario or at least an idea, for sure, an ideal even for that matter, putting all this time into the kind of person I want. Come to find out, and it was in a reasonably short time the way this all played out timing-wise, this person was right there in front of me on a regular basis. And again, still surprises me to this day how amazing things play out when we manifest directions, right? Now, directions in the sense of manifesting like this ultimate big picture. You may not see the way the little steps zigzag to each other, but in hindsight, you'll look back and you'll be like, oh man, like thank God it happened that way, because I don't think it would have worked the other way. Who I am right now versus who I was 5 years ago is hugely different. Just in my understanding, in my growth, and in my movement upwards. Another example, and this is the last example really, but I was dead set on getting a new car, a new version of the car I've gotten. It was towards the end of when I was leaving the company I'm currently at, right? And I took a year, right, for the other job. It's like right before that was kind of happening. It was like, well, before I change jobs, maybe I should get this out of the way. And I was going to get a new car. Now, one thing that happens when you buy a new car, and this isn't any sort of limitation on my side, it's just the reality of it. When you buy a new car, and the second you drive it off the lot, at least here in the United States, I don't know how it is in other countries, but you drive it off the lot and you immediately lose like 25% value. Immediately. It's now a used car. Bam. Doesn't matter if you sold it tomorrow. It is now a used car, technically, and 25% of the value gone. 20% at least. You know, that varies on the car. Whatever. You know, drive a Ferrari off the lot, it's probably still worth a hell of a lot of money. But anyway, big, huge chunk of the value of the car is immediately lost. Yeah, it's a brand new car. Well, it'll run great. Yeah. What if I get a car that is the same car, but a lease? So kind of how this played out, and this is why it was so fascinating to me, is I was driving a Mazda 6. It was a stick shift. It was an awesome car. having computer issues with it. I ended up burning out a clutch, which I've owned sticks my whole life. I know how to drive a stick. And I burned out a clutch, and it was just, I could tell it was just weird on the way the car was, the way the computer was interacting with the clutch and the way it was interacting. It was just weird. And they updated the software, and it basically made it worse. So I get my clutch replaced in no crud. And this is where I'd been thinking about the new car. And I'm like, I'll just hang out in my car a while longer. There's no reason to get a new car. Car's running fine. It's got a new clutch in it, whatever, right? A year later from getting the new clutch, and I've still got this on the back burner. I'd love to get this. The Mazda 3 is the car I want, right? And have now. So I'm like, I'd really love that car. It's a beautiful car. I love the look of it. I just love the color, all that stuff, right? So it's like, and what happened is the clutch started going bad again. And it was weird the whole time with the computer. I could just tell there was aspect, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like it used to when I drove it. And now it was just weird. The throttle was strange. It didn't let go the same way. It was not instant. It was weird. It was just weird. I don't know what happened. I honestly think the computer was going bad, even though how do you prove that it was going bad? But all that going on. So finally, instead of getting the new one, which I had to get a few ducks in a row, and I was going to lose 25% right off the bat, even though I was going to get a smoking deal on it, and I could afford it. It wasn't an issue of the money per se. I was like, screw it. I got home. I went online, and I looked to see if the local... I don't want to say the brand name, but there's a place where you can buy used cars, and it's very easy to buy cars there. It's not a bad experience at all, by the way, but I'm not plugging them. But I went and saw and see if they had my car. Wow, they have it. Oh my God, it's like brand new. Oh my God, it's got no miles. It's exactly the car I want. It's the color I want. And it's about $11,000 cheaper than the brand new version of it, and it's only 2 years old. So boom, drive down there. I got rid of my car. By the way, they didn't notice that the clutch was slipping. So I got a great value for the car I traded in. And I ended up walking out of there, driving out of there technically. Well, I walked, then I drove. I walked out of there with the car I wanted, basically brand new, especially compared to what I was driving, and an awesome deal on that car. Again, sometimes it's the big picture of what we're going for. We've got something out in front of us that we're trying to manifest. We get so hung up on black or white thinking that you sometimes fail to see that this weird thing that's happening, maybe that you're trying to manifest a specific person. Now they're in a relationship with someone. You're like, that's not what I'm trying to manifest. Yes, it is. It's exactly what you're trying to manifest. Relax. You're definitely getting there. That's probably happening so he realizes how awesome you were. The person he's currently with is probably crazy or something. And he's going to be like, man, I miss so-and-so. Trust me, things like that happen all the time. I'm not saying that's exactly your case, but I've seen it happen dozens and dozens and dozens of times with people. Just because something's occurring right now that doesn't make sense for what you thought was going to happen doesn't mean it's wrong. In fact, what I'm trying to suggest is look at it and go, maybe this is more right than what it was that I was trying to manifest. Maybe this is more proper. Maybe this is better for me, big picture. Because again, I've talked about the higher self, and it's basically the eagle that's soaring up above the forest. And our lower self is the person that's tramping through the forest. Looking, hey, the fern, the ivy, it smells really good. And the hawk's up there going, yeah, dude, you're in a forest. And you're like, there's just trees everywhere. I trees, right? You have no idea that if you keep walking that way, half a mile, you're going to fall off a cliff. If you go that way, you're going to find a river and food and a shelter, right? Like your higher self can see what your lower self can't. It knows what you want. It knows where you're trying to go. It's trying to help you. And sometimes down while we're in the thick of it, down while we're amongst the trees, we got the higher self going, trust me, you've just got a bit more forest that way. And the lower self's like, there's no forest. There's just freaking trees. What are you talking about, forest? You keep saying forest. Keep saying go this way. All I see is trees. There's lots of trees that way. Higher self's like, trust me. Trust me. You'll be amazed what you see. And when we trust, we are amazed. There's no question. The interconnectedness between us and the higher aspects and source and universe and all this stuff and whatever deity, fill in name here, The connection we experience with this energy, with all of these energies, is profound. And when you set yourself down the path of using these energies to help you to create consciously what the universe has got rules for you to do. The game of life was created, a set of rules were set down. That's how it works. That's it. Go for it. And those rules were kind of hidden from us at one point. They didn't want it to know how easy we could control our own realities, how easily we could control our lives, our neighborhoods. Can you imagine if you got your entire neighborhood together and just said, all right, so once a week we're going to get together and we're going to talk about how we're all wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, right? That neighborhood's probably going to notice a significance in their wealth generation while doing that. And it's a powerful experience when you do it jointly. And if you got hundreds of people to do it at the same time, oh my gosh, thousands, millions, billions. It's amazing the level that we could change this planet just by getting everybody on the same page, even if not for 5 minutes, but at the same time. That power is amazing. So, hopefully this all makes sense. Oftentimes what we're trying to manifest is showing up. It just may not look like it yet. Give it time. Allow it to show up. Allow it to be what it is, and you will be amazed. Just relax a little. It is in process. Everything that you desire is on its way. You are manifesting correctly. It's not you screwing up and sucking. The questioning is not helping. Understand it's happening. That's the difference. Know that it's happening. Know that this must be part of it. Whatever how odd it is, there must be something to it. Allow it to be, allow it to unfold, and it will make sense in the end. Going out with the same song we came in, but at different parts. So don't stop believing. It's right here. Oh, it's by Journey, by the way, if you didn't know that. It's right here. Dan Radio Style.
Don't stop believing.